Okay, so I am officially back. I don't know why, but I was getting this crazy loud buzzing sound in my headphones, and I thought it was translating into the stream, and it wasn't, thankfully. Microphone and everything still works great. I have no idea what happened. It was some kind of strange interference, but I'm ready to continue to rock and roll. Apologize for suddenly cutting short. Kiki, if you give me 100 rupees, I will open the entrance for you. So this is the end of all of the mandatory gold spending that I encounter in this game. 100 rupees here, 500 rupees for Zora's flippers, and that's it. I've complained about this earlier in the stream, but I think it bears repeating. The way that rupees are handled in this is very reminiscent of the way rupees were handled in Zelda 1. You look around and eventually find a very large expenditure that you need to make, and you have to farm up all the rupees, buy the thing that you need, and then like that's it, right? Like you just have to farm lots of rupees. In this game, it's made a little bit easier because there's a lot more large rupee caches just out in the world, right? Like they existed in Zelda 1. I'm not saying that they just didn't exist. I mean, that's where the whole "it's a secret from everybody" thing came from, was the moblins that would give you money. But got them. There were a lot fewer of them, and the ones that existed didn't give you as much money. Most of the money that you got, you had to grind to get. In this game, you know, instead of having to buy the ring, which I think it was the ring that you had to buy, the really expensive ring. Instead of getting that, or getting the, you know, going deep into the dungeons and finding the old man that can upgrade your bombs and shit like that, in this game they have the flippers, Kiki opening the door to this dungeon, and okay, I'm good on fairies. And the upgrades down in Lake Hylia. And it's a lot of money that you need to spend. It's made easier by the fact that there's all these rupee caches out there, but it's made, if you know where they're all at, it isn't made easier, it's made, like, there's no gameplay to it at all. Like, it shouldn't be inconsequential to dump that much money. I think it shouldn't be. It should. I'm trying to think of the word to accurately describe how I feel about. You know, you get so many rupees that spending 500 rupees on flippers is no big deal, and I feel like it shouldn't be no big deal, but it also shouldn't be a grind. It should be somewhere in between, right? And that's what it is. Like, if you play this game and you don't know where all the big, like, piles of rupees are, it's a giant pain in the ass. But if you do know where they're all at, it's like a minor tedium that you have to deal with in order to progress. Like, it shouldn't... I can't think of the right word. But it should be more engaging than that. And I think the best way to make it more engaging would be to make the expenses more frequent, but less less money more frequently. man. Fucking... Ah! Where'd it fucking go? Can I ice rod this? You know what? I'll just kite him over here and then... See how easy that was? That was easy because I'm a dumbass. Why did it hit twice, I wonder? That's better. Yeah, it shouldn't be inconsequential, and it shouldn't be tedious, and it shouldn't be a grind. It should be engaging. I feel like games like Ocarina, and even more so Majora, hit it better. And then, like, you get into Twilight Princess and, did they do it in Skyward Sword? I don't actually recall bow and arrow minigames or bomb minigames in Skyward Sword. I don't remember. It's been a long time. But I make the comparison to the 3D Zelda games because I feel like they make ample use of the 3D space in order to create interesting, you know, minigames for cash that actually give you cool rewards. Obviously, the ones I'm thinking of are the ones that I've mentioned before. The bow and arrow minigames, even like the horseback riding bow and arrow minigame, bomb chew bowling, the bomb basketball from Majora, I think. There was a bomb basketball game. Those make rupees optional. And I think optional money, optional currency is what I would prefer in a Zelda game. Or do things like they did in Link Between Worlds. Create a scenario where instead of spending money on upgrades, you find materials to make upgrades just out in the world. Like, that's how you improved your sword, and you found the little alien creatures, and they upgraded your shit. Like, make it engaging. Make it about exploring the world, or about, you know, that sort of thing. Instead of just putting rooms filled with rupees in dungeons like this that serve no purpose other than to pad your pockets. I missed all of them? There we go. This is one of the dungeons that you can leave the dungeon with extra keys. I think it would be cool if you could keep the keys that you leave with and use them in extra dungeons. But you can't do that. It does not let you do that. They intended for me to not return via the broken bridge that I just took. They give you extra keys, they put extra rooms that don't really make a difference. When this puzzle was first introduced, shooting things in the eye to open passages really wasn't a thing yet. But now it's like it feels sometimes like it's the only thing. Like, you always shoot things in the eye. And And then Nintendo has gone and sometimes made it a little more clear than that, even, that you're supposed to shoot the thing in the eye. Because they'll make the eyes large and exaggerated and, like, bright red. I prefer a little bit more subtlety to my Zelda experience. I would use a fairy here just to get rid of that annoying beeping noise. Except that when you use a fairy in this game, well, you can just do that. When you die and you have a fairy, it just gives you the health back. When you use a fairy out of the bottle, it has a chance to just float around in such a pattern that it's hard to grab, and I didn't want to waste it. Like, it doesn't immediately... I hit the hammer, what the fuck? It doesn't immediately give you the health back, like it does in the 3D games. It's like you set it free, and then you reach out and grab it. Now, so far, none of the bosses I have fought have required the use of the item that you get in the dungeon to beat the boss. I used the arrows on the Eastern Palace boss. I didn't have to. I could have just hit them with the sword forever. But this is like the first boss that you don't have that option. And I feel like maybe they successfully set you up to, you know, come in here swinging the hammer, because they deliberately put all those turtles in the level that, like, you had to use the hammer to kill them. And then they used the same effect in that little hallway I was just in to make it so that the hammer was the item I had equipped on my way in. Like, I feel like that was them telling me, make sure you use the hammer here, you know? Which is a good way, I think, to train your gamers to play the way that you are expecting them to play. You don't want to hold someone's hand through, like, game mechanics, but you also don't want to just hang them out to dry. That's something that this game did, I think, kind of okay. Especially because you're not used to it. Like, you don't have to just always use the item you find in the dungeon at this point. Like in, I'm thinking through in Ocarina if there's a boss that doesn't require the item you found in the dungeon. I don't think that there is. The Shadow Temple. Because you get, what, the hover boots in the Shadow Temple? I don't think you need the hover boots to kill Bongo Bongo. But that's the exception rather than the rule. This world used to be the Golden Land where the Triforce was hidden. But because Ganon, the boss of thieves, see now... This is maybe the first time we've heard of Ganon. We've heard of Aghanim a bunch of times. We fought Aghanim once. Now they're talking about somebody called Ganon and that he's a thief. He wished the world transformed. He's intending to conquer our light world after building his power here. He's trying to open a larger gate between the worlds near the castle using our powers. The gate is not open completely yet. If we 7 maidens come together, we can break the barrier around Ganon's hiding place. I will tell you where the other girls are held. I believe you will destroy Ganon. I will return to my original form at that time. So I have my motivation now. I know more about... Well, I've had my motivation since the beginning, but I now know more about the nature of what Ganon is doing and why it's taking so long. He's still amassing his power. I assume that means he's building an army. Oh, I can't go down that way. You can kind of see the path through the hedges a little bit. But yeah, I like the way they set it up so that you don't have to... Oh, hey, and I have this trick available to me now. Most enemies that are frozen, that are killed with the hammer, will award magic. Most of the time. Not all the time. But if you have the ice rod and the hammer, and you're careful about your mana usage, you know, you should be alright to, like, go without buying the magic medicine. I'm gonna grab this heart piece down here. I'm gonna go on a heart piece hunting spree eventually. Most of the heart pieces in the game you can pick up kind of on your way to doing other things. But there's a few that you have to kind of go out of your way to grab. I don't think there's another one between here and... Oh yeah, there are. There's at least one more between here and the next temple. And you know what? I'm gonna grab that heart piece and the flute, and then do a quick edit break for the next segment. That's what I'm gonna do. The flute in this game is kind of a holdover as far as Zelda tradition is concerned, with the whistle in Zelda 1, and it works in much the same way. But in this one, you get this like really sad story behind it, which I think is, again, not at all something that they needed to add. They could have absolutely left that out, but they chose not to. And it really helps paint a picture of what the world has become since Ganon started all of his shit. I really like atmospheric things. When people talk about video games and when they criticize or praise video games, I think a little too often the focus is on gameplay exclusively and not on atmosphere and sound design and not visual effects, but visual effect, like the design of visual effects, like things like the fog over the Lost Woods being, you know, whether it looks nice or not is one thing entirely. The fact that they decided to put it in the first place just to give the place an air of mystery and obscurity is another thing entirely. And that's the sort of shit that I like to focus on, the atmospheric things. I liked to play the flute. There was a small grove where animals gathered, and I want to see that place again. I buried my flute there with some flower seeds. You can try to find it for me. I'm gonna hit the ground with a shovel. They don't let you keep the shovel, unfortunately. Bam. One shot. Thank you, Barf. It looks like I can't play my flute anymore. Please take it. If by chance you go to the village I lived in, please give it to the tired old man that you find there. Well, my mind is getting hazy, so please let me hear the sound of the flute one last time. Poor kid. But it really makes you, you know what I mean? Like, it really drives home that besides the fact that this place is warped and disfigured and, you know, tarnished, it has that influence on everyone that's in it too. Like it really makes it this otherworldly, you know, Lovecraftian horror fest of just terrible shit that happens to unfortunate, innocent people that happen to wander too close. Tired old man, he's sleeping. Hit him with the flute. Is this my son's flute? Did you meet my son? Where is he? Well, I can tell by what you want to say by the look in your eyes. Keep the flute and play its melody for the bird in the village square. My son would want it this way. But I wish I could see him once more. Isn't that fucking sad, man? It's like, he's not a sleepy old man in like a milk store. He's a drunk in a tavern because he lost his son. It's fucking heartbreaking. But since he lost his son, I get a bird friend who will fly me to various places, which is great for me. His little pelican beak or whatever he is. See you, buddy. Take it easy. Now I have a warp. I like having a warp. I'm gonna be right back.